Hey there, unprofessionals, and welcome to the second episode of Unprofessional Development with Tedisco and Mealy. Today we're going to be talking with our first guest, Professor Science, actual professor who teaches teachers how to teach, and is a former high school science teacher. So we're going to talk about how do we prepare teachers for the classrooms, how to build better relationships with our students, and we're going to talk about some science labs gone wrong. So that'll be fun. We share many opinions, which, as always, are our own and don't reflect any school, administration, district, county, state, country, planet. We're just a couple weirdos shouting into a microphone. So, let's just have fun. Like us, subscribe to us, give us 5 stars, add a review, say something like, oh my God, they're like so funny, because all that stuff really helps us. And I don't just mean like fiscally or in terms of like popularity or success. It's just that Mealy and I are approval junkies, and we need you to enable us the best you can. So thank you for that. Share us with your friends. Share us with your enemies. If they like podcasts, use reverse psychology to manipulate others. It's a fun thing to do. We're weirdos, and we're dumb, and that should be an easy sell. So do it. Do it. Do it. Okay, sorry. So to all of you ado lovers out there, I'm sorry, but without any further ado, here's episode 2.
Do the welcome. Welcome us in.
Ladies, young boys, girls, children of all ages, if you don't know my name, you forgot. If you feel like hearing one more time, I'm Tedisco, and welcome to Unprofessional Development.
Okay, real teachers, real stories.
And that's Mealy.
Yes, that's me. So today we've got with us Professor Science. So we've stepped up our game. Not a teacher, but a teacher of teachers. Okay? He's a teacher and a teacher of teachers. So
And by math, that's like exponential teaching,
it's
right?
exponential teaching.
Right.
Yes.
That's teaching to the X power.
It is. It's not just linear or quadratic.
How are you doing today, Professor Science?
I'm doing well. It's a little rainy outside today. It's okay if I mention the weather?
Well, they might realize we're in the rainforest.
That's right.
Yes.
Exactly.
I don't want them to think we're on Earth.
Yes. I thought we were in a desert prior to this.
Exactly. Wait a second.
This really messes up the crossover with Welcome to Night Vale.
Wow. Okay.
So doing well.
The rain's bringing me down.
The rain, rains, but
Yes.
we're about to get into
Messed
stuff
up.
here.
Now I'm telling what time of year it is. I was going to rake leaves today. Now the leaves are wet.
Oh,
I'm like, I saw
man.
this lady outside last night raking leaves. I'm like, why is she raking leaves at night?
Now you know.
I do know,
Now
because
you
she
know.
wanted to do it before they were
Because
wet.
she's smarter than
I was gonna say, exactly.
She has the ability to check the weather on her phone.
those darn kids and their smartphones.
You see how perceptions change? How perceptions change just in 12 hours?
Right.
Maybe 8 hours.
Right.
You were like, who's this woman breaking her yard at night? This is
9 in the
crazy.
morning.
Exactly. And today you're like, she is so wise. She is so wise.
This is how we grow as people.
Yep. So the question is, why are you a teacher? Why did you become a teacher? And then we'll talk about why you're a professor as well, since you're our first professor on here. So why did you become a teacher initially?
Man, I became a teacher, I guess, initially because, I wanted to make a whole lot of money. I'm just kidding. No, I became a teacher because...
That shouldn't be a punchline.
Right, exactly. I know. I became a teacher because I actually went on a mission trip. And I realized, somebody told me, do you realize you're really good with kids? So I was like, no, I didn't. And they were like, well, you might think about becoming a teacher. And so from that moment on, that was my summer of my freshman year in college. And so from that moment on, I pursued teaching.
So what were you going to be before that?
International business.
Oh, nice.
I had the vision that I loved to travel.
I can see the comparison.
Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
That's a lateral move.
Yes, right. It made total sense.
International business.
International business.
But that sounds like when you're when you're 18, you're going to college. What do you want to do? International business. Oh, wow, good
right?
for you.
That sounds great. You're
Yes,
going to travel.
Every adult compliments you when you say, I'm going to study international business.
And then you say, I'm going to be a teacher.
And they all go,
Whoa.
You sure about that?
My mom was against it. She really was. She
You
said,
thought of
you
something
don't.
more solid, like acting?
Exactly. Can you be a dancer?
So mom, what was mom?
She was against it because I'll be honest, I had such a rough time in school growing up.
Really?
Yes, right?
So you're not an awesome student.
No, well, not just that, but just like socially, right?
Okay.
It was not a great space for me.
Okay.
I also wasn't the best student either,
Right.
But
she thought that maybe going back to school would trigger.
she did. She thought it would
negativity.
trigger us, and she was like, "These kids are going to eat you alive. They're going to eat you alive. You're not going to be
Right.
control them. We'll talk about that a little later, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
And but I said, this is what I think I'm being called to do. And once I told her that, she was like, well, I can't argue with that. That's where I went.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
But I didn't major in education though.
Okay, you majored in
Biology, because I wanted to be a
Biology.
high school science teacher,
Right.
high school biology teacher. So I
Okay.
majored in biology with a cognate in
with
education.
with a what?
It's what South Carolina? I don't
cognate?
cognate. 12 hours. 12 hours education.
Cognate, I believe, is when you change verb tense.
That's what I thought.
Yes. So,
That's like when I remember I had a friend and his sister got her master's and her bachelor's in 4 years from
Oh wow.
Penn, no less.
Oh really?
I'm like, so how did she do
go
that?
off. Sorry.
I said, yeah, I know smart people. I said, so how'd she do that? She goes, I just submatriculated. I'm like,
What?
Oh, you submatriculated?
What?
I hope you washed your hands.
Exactly. Right?
Really?
What
I
is?
was like, have a doctor look at that.
There's a cream for that now.
There is a cream for that. I heard.
Yeah.
We know because we have a
Yeah. Yeah. But meanwhile, she, and somehow she managed to, and still doing that, went to Scotland and was
Oh, wow.
competitively trampolining, which I didn't know was a thing either.
I don't know about this.
She was a
don't know.
competitive trampoliner.
Was she also a chronic liar? 'Cause
Exactly.
not only
Because
that,
Disco,
if somebody said to me, like, I
Right.
graduated in
Say
4
it.
years
Say it to Disco.
with a undergrad and grad, but I'm also a professional trampoline.
Not
Right.
professional. She just
Who went to
competitive.
Scotland.
There's a difference.
Right.
who went to Scotland? Was
Yes,
it?
that's
Right,
what-
yeah,
that's
the
what-
trampolining
that's
capital of the
competitive
world.
trampolining is.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And took my 24 hours while I was there of classes that I had to take. Man.
I don't know.
You know,
I
way
don't
to go,
Good
though.
for them.
Way to go, right? Way to go, trampoliner. Way to go.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like we're not throwing shade your way. At all. we believe you,
Yeah.
How do you know you got the skill for competitive
Trampoline.
trampoline?
right? Like, do you go to what are those places called? Jump Air or
Yes, yes.
is
You
that
see a
what
bunch
it
of
is?
other kids trampoline and think, oh, schmucks.
And then there's people on the
I
side that
couldn't.
are holding
I-
up 4.5, 9.3,
Right.
8.6. Like that,
It's like Jordan coming back from the Wizards going, no, I got to show these guys how
Right,
it's
how
done.
it's done. Exactly.
So it's an offshoot of
This
gymnastics.
is an art form they are
I guess.
underutilizing.
I don't know.
Is it an offshoot of ribbon gymnastics? You know, there are a lot of gymnastics.
So I
there really
guess
are.
I don't know. Maybe someday.
That makes sense,
Let's
actually.
push. Okay, everyone who's listening to this podcast, please write the International Olympic
Yes.
Committee and make trampolining an Olympic sport.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then offer Tedisco, Mealy, and Professor Science to be the judges, please.
Right.
That would
Yes.
be
Yes,
ideal.
actually,
Exactly.
I got my graduate and master's in trampolinguistics.
Linguistics. I love it. I love it.
Awesome.
It was a subconjugate.
You were a teacher, so I think we want to jump to this, and then we'll jump back to
Yes.
the teaching, and in the back between the teaching and professing.
Okay.
Professors.
Professing, that's what we do. I profess.
Did you profess today?
I know, exactly.
I'm a professor. Oh, you profess?
The professionals.
Yes, the professionals.
Oh. So you're the unprofessor. I guess
I'm the
is really what you
unprofessor.
are today.
Yeah, today, Professor.
So how did you decide, or when did you decide that I'm so good at this, I could tell other people how to do this?
I'm an expert. No. No, that's a negative.
Or was it, I'm so triggered, my mom
I think,
was
right, my
right.
mom was right. I need to get out of this place.
But I
So
can't
I-
tell her she's
Oh, what
No,
can I do with this?
So I have to make
How
an
can
easy
How
transition.
can I conjugate my way to something else?
Yes.
do
yes.
some sort of conjugal visit.
Oh,
Any
hey!
other conjugal matriculation? Let's just mix all this up.
My.
Is that going to cut out?
We'll work it out. We'll work it out.
Work out. So what happened? My third year teaching.
And it was elementary?
It was
or-
high school. It was
High school?
High school
science,
biology.
High school biology. My third year teaching, I got a practicum student,
Okay.
and then a student teacher year 4, and a student
Okay.
teacher year 5, and
Wow.
realized.
So did they just have a desperate need?
Yeah,
Or
like-
or you were like, because normally you would think
They wait a while, usually. before
right,
they
so you
get,
have like a little
throw
more
a student
experience before
teacher.
you teach somebody else. But anyway, go ahead.
Right.
I was still learning how to teach at my third year.
Yes, exactly. I was ready
Me
for a
too.
student teacher.
Right.
Okay, me too. Exactly.
Yeah.
And which is why they started me out with a little practicum student. Now, granted,
Okay.
I did get my master's right out of undergrad in
Okay.
education, since I only got a cognate, right,
Okay.
or conjugate, as you call
Okay.
it, as you guys call it.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Some
Same
cognac.
thing. So my advisor there believed in my teaching, right? Like she would
Okay.
come out and see it. So she was like,
so you had the
I had the
link with the
connection.
college.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right. And so that's why I think I was getting these.
Right.
These
They're like,
students.
where can we send him? Oh, I know that guy.
Hey, send him to Professor Science. That's right. That's right. Professor Science classroom. in those 3 years, I realized, man, I really love teaching. I mean, I loved teaching the kids,
Right.
but I started seeing this desire to train future teachers and say, I can develop relationships with these students as well. That's what caused me to then jump to and start investigating getting a PhD, right, in science ed.
Yeah.
And it worked.
How do you teach teaching? So this is where we actually, being silly, will actually develop people professionally.
Yeah.
Or unprofessionally.
I like the metaphor you came up with.
Thank you. I think so much. Oh, what was the metaphor?
You said it was like teaching basketball.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Like having a class on basketball.
In our pre-conference, me and Mr. English here, Tedisco, we're discussing how you would teach teaching, and having experienced it as teachers being taught how to teach. I said, it's like teaching someone basketball. It's like you can show them a basketball and teach them, like, this is where the foul line is, and these are the rules,
Right.
and these are all the kind of things. But that is completely
But then you go out
different.
on the court.
Being on the
Right,
court,
right,
and, like,
right.
someone's trying to steal the ball from you.
Exactly,
And all
right.
these things, like, you have these plans, and now, like, it doesn't go the way you wanted to.
You're not thinking
experience.
foul line is there.
So
You're
how
not
do you
thinking-
teach
Teaching.
teachers?
Yeah.
Right.
How do you teach teaching? Well, I will tell you this, that there is a component that is necessary in any teacher ed program, and that's like actual, I think what you guys are talking about with the basketball analogy, right, is you have to get out in the classrooms, whether that be for student teaching or what we call at where I work, clinicals, some type of practical experience, because you're right, you can teach theory all day. This is
And they do.
And we do, right? We do all day.
Right.
But it's not until you actually get out there and do it where you're like, I had no idea. So our students often come back from that experience and they say, I learned so much in these 2 weeks than I have this whole semester.
Right. I learned more my first year teaching than all of my college
There we go.
experience.
Right? I mean, it's and I think teaching is one of those pieces, and probably many professions, but I think specifically teaching, you got to get out there and do it. I don't care how many classroom management courses. You could take 6 classroom, because they're always asking them, we want more classroom management courses. I'm like, we could give you 10. It would make no bit of difference because
you're not managing a classroom in those classes.
There you go. And you have a totally different group of students the next year or this year, right? And so you're going to be learning like who you are as a classroom manager. So the goal, I think, one is to get them out there in the schools, actually doing this stuff, right, and engaging with students. But in the classroom, while we do have theory, a lot of what I do is modeling for them. So typically I am the teacher, then they are the student, the elementary school student that they will be teaching. And so we'll go through lessons that way so that they can see at least and kind of live vicariously through one, themselves as students, and then me as a teacher. Right. And then we debrief that, right? And we say, what did we see? What did we see me doing? What could I have done better? Right. And what did you experience cognitively as a student?
Getting sort of metacognitive.
So I think that's important. And there are some courses that lend themselves to that better. I teach science, right? How to teach science. So that lends itself beautifully, I think, to modeling experiments, activities, right, and whatnot.
As opposed to teaching grown-ups how to read when they already know how to read.
When they already know how to read. Or how do you educational psychology, how do you then make that into a model piece, right, within the, does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
And so I think I'm really blessed to kind of have this space in this science place where I'm teaching. So I think modeling is really important in how to teach teachers. And the theory, of course, is needed. But but I will say this, let me I'm a big proponent of what we know in education is inquiry-based instruction, student-centered, right? And there are different levels of inquiry-based instruction, but I really gear on guided, right, inquiry-based. Right. And so what I get them to do is I don't teach them theory first. I give them an experience that we can all have a common ground, and then we pull theory out of that experience. Right. Does that make sense?
So you're pulling education theory out of the education experience.
Right. So we'll model a lesson, and then we'll say, an intentional lesson, right, that I know is going to somehow bring this topic or this idea, this concept or theory up. What did we see here? And then they'll say, we noticed that you were asking questions. Well, what kind of questions was I asking, right? At the beginning, well, you were asking more like what questions and who questions, right? And well, as we move forward, what kind of questions? And you start asking us to like explain and justify and compare, right? We're talking the different taxonomies of questions here, right? So then we place that word, but we've experienced it, so now they have something to like hook onto it. Yes. I think that's also important, right? Because I think they remember it.
And no taxonomy without representonomy. Just so you know.
Just so you know.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
You're disappointed. You're disappointed.
Disappointed you didn't come up with it.
Tedisco has his face in his hands right now.
I don't have enough hands to put my face in.
I don't have enough.
So we've been relatively like talking about professionally stuff, but now we want to have some more fun stuff.
Unprofessional stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what we want to know is tell us about an experiment that's gone wrong, either or some kind of lab where it went sideways, whether you were teaching or whether you were teaching teachers. And this was the plan, and then all of a sudden somebody's face was on fire, or anything that was amuse us.
Because running labs, like the level of preparation, but also like the risk there,
Right.
It's much higher than I'll handle. Like
True. Exactly. Yes.
In my class, their pencils could break. That's about as
They could write a naughty word. They could write a naughty word.
They could write a naughty word on a desk, on a chair, on somebody else's.
And they do.
And they do.
Yes.
Yes. It would it had to be the high school when I was teaching biology, and we were doing a yeast lab, carbon dioxide.
Those are words.
Yes.
A yeast lab, and so I had forgotten to get the hydrogen peroxide. So you use hydrogen peroxide, you use yeast, right? And you mix the two.
And then what happens?
And they give off oxygen.
And how do you know that? Does it blow up like a balloon or something, or you light on
It does
fire?
give off like bubbles, but then you take a little splint and you can light it and then blow out the fire, and it still has embers, and then put it in there and it lights back up.
Nice.
Right, and lights back up. So really,
because there's so much oxygen.
There's so much oxygen being given off. Yeah,
feeds the fire.
It feeds the fire. There we go. See, science. High school Mealy science teacher. Way to go.
Thank you.
You got that. Well, I had forgotten to get the hydrogen peroxide from the store, right? Because you can get that from,
CVS.
Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, whatever.
Yes.
And so
all of them sponsoring this podcast now. Get your hydrogen peroxide at the CVS. They've got the best hydrogen peroxide.
We name dropped it. That's cut. So
it's an unprofessional development when you buy the hydrogen peroxide at CVS. Just to see what happens.
Get a crooked look from Linda behind the counter.
So I came in.
Tell them you'll be using it for fire. I love it.
Tell them you love Breaking Bad.
There you go. Exactly.
There we go.
Right? There you go. So I went and got some out of the chemical storage closet. Hydrogen peroxide.
Right.
All
Good
in
place
brown
to store
bottles.
chemicals.
Good place to store chemicals. Hydrogen peroxide. And hydrogen peroxide in the normal basis, it's harmless.
Right.
I mean, harmless.
Yeah. I gave it to my dog to make her throw up a sock one time.
A sock?
Yeah, she swallowed a
Your
sock.
dog eats everything.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, me too.
But have you ever been given hydrogen peroxide?
To throw up a sock.
Throw up a sock.
Not yet.
Okay.
Not that I remember.
Not right, exactly.
Yes.
So I went and got it, and we were doing
video
those.
Why did I video that? I mean, you get podcasts. I mean, YouTube famous with the dog.
There we
throwing up
go.
a sock.
That would have been a great YouTube
Interrupting the
moment.
story,
Go
Mealy.
back to the story. Sorry.
Being
It's
bad
all right.
listeners.
It's
We're
okay.
bad students.
It happens.
Sorry. Go ahead.
So I bring it, and we're doing the lab, and they are, of course, I don't have them wearing gloves, right? Because hydrogen peroxide.
It's skin safe. Yeah.
It's skin safe. Well, all of a sudden, my students start noticing there are white spots on their fingers.
Nice.
And so they're like, Professor Science, like, what? At that time, I was Mr. Science.
Yeah.
I hadn't actually gotten the PhD.
Professor, yes.
Yes, Mr. Science. Why are our hands turning white, right?
It's never a good question.
Never a good
There's
question.
it's not you're gaining superpowers.
No.
That's definitely not.
No, this is not a
Did you make a
Spider-Man
Michael
moment.
Jackson
This is not a
reference at the time?
Spider-Man moment. I didn't, but one of my kids might have.
Nice.
Why not, right?
Right.
And so all the kids are experiencing this. I'm like, what's happening? Also, at the same time, because when you use hydrogen peroxide bought from the store, you can actually tell a difference in, like, because they're crushing up yeast versus, like, so powdered yeast versus regular granular yeast, right? And so you can actually tell the difference in the amount of oxygen being given off. But today, in that lesson, things were going like gangbusters. I mean, the bubbles were coming out of the tube, and I was like, what the heck is happening? Like, it never happens like this. And so I'm really confused because, of course, the data they're getting, they're like, everything's the same, right? And I'm like, oh, this is terrible. So then, like, they're still like, Professor Science, our hands are starting to burn. They're starting to burn. And I'm like, what is going on? And so I I'm like, guys, you're fine. You're totally good. Like, it's hygiene. There's nothing we're dealing with here, right? That
Right.
is-
Nothing corrosive.
Professor Science
Nothing corrosive.
is ignoring the data.
Ignoring the data.
30 hands that
The
are on
bubbles,
fire.
right? The oxygen being
Yes.
released, the 30 hands that are burning.
It's like a Dora the Explorer episode. It's like, oh, wait a second.
Light bulb. So then I look at the hydrogen peroxide I got out of the chemical storage closet. And I realized it is like 90%.
Nice.
90%.
As opposed to from CVS?
As opposed to like, I think it's like 2%. Yes, 2% hydrogen peroxide.
Yes.
And so.
That means it's 48 times as strong or something like that.
There you go, math.
Yes, there we go.
Math connection. So then I realize I
have endangered
I
child.
have endangered my kids. I've
Yes.
endangered my kids. I did not dilute this, right? Because I'm just thinking hydrogen peroxide. I was a new teacher.
Yeah.
right?
Everybody
I was a
wash
new
your
teacher.
hands for the next,
Right?
till we leave, till the bell rings.
So that's what I said. I said,
Put your
"Guys,
hands in
wash
baking
your-"
soda and don't move.
Put your hands in that yeast, guys. Put your hands in that yeast. No. And so I had to tell them to wash your hands, right? But I didn't.
Don't touch your face.
I didn't tell them
Don't touch your eye.
about the hydrogen peroxide. I just said, guys, sometimes, once I realized what was going on,
Yes.
sometimes this happens. Because let's be honest.
We don't want them going home
We
and
don't
telling
want,
mom.
no, right? I was like, it'll be gone by the time you leave school today, right?
This is
wash your
totally
hands.
normal.
This is totally
The flight
normal.
attendant plan,
Yes,
actually.
the flight attendant, right?
Yeah, no, it normally bucks like that.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is just
Don't
turbulence.
need to come.
It's just a little bit of turbulence. That's just a little,
good
first
stuff.
degree burn. Right? That's all that is. Yeah.
Was there any fallout?
No fallout. No,
Nice.
I get no calls from parents.
Nice.
Good.
This is probably my department chair's first time, if she listens to this, first time hearing about that. I didn't tell a soul. I didn't tell
No.
a soul about that.
No.
No,
Gotta get in front of those things. Bailey and I have these arguments all the time.
There we go.
Yes,
There we
yes.
go.
That's awesome. So, my brother is a jokester, kind of like me. One of the things that hopefully you're teaching your teachers is don't walk out of the classroom. Okay? Especially.
Like staying in the classroom.
Yeah, it's a good practice.
It's a good practice.
You need an adult
Yes.
in the room.
Yes.
One.
Especially when kids are doing a lab.
Very true. Exactly. Don't
So,
leave them unattended.
My brother, this is back in the day. I don't think they have it in high schools anymore. When we went to high school,
Because of
back
his
a long
brother.
time ago, there was we had lab tables.
Yes.
And there was gas run
Yes.
to the lab tables for Bunsen burners.
Yes.
Right.
They still got those.
They still do have those. I
Well,
think some
they
have,
had some back when I was teaching.
okay, I think they've kind of
12
gone
years
away
ago.
from that a little bit, maybe. Maybe
so.
my brother's a little bit to blame. I don't know.
Probably so.
So
It's probably a calls.
The teacher-
What's his name?
the teacher
It's
left.
really calls.
The teacher left, right? I don't know where the teacher went
Okay.
and why they left.
There we go.
But they were gone long enough
Oh.
for my brother to hatch this plan.
It only takes a minute. It only takes a couple of seconds.
He says, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the gas thing that opens up, that's closest to the door, and we're going to open it up long enough so when you walk in the door, it smells like gas. It won't be like all through the room on a dangerous level, but when you first walk in, you'll smell gas.
I like
And
that he
we
said dangerous level. He's
are,
thinking.
we are all going to lay on the floor like we're unconscious.
That's honestly amazing.
Yes, it is. It is.
So the teacher
You
comes
could,
in.
you could write that into a college application, I would say.
The teacher comes in, smells gas. There's 25 kids on the floor.
No!
Oh
She
my
screams. Runs out of the room.
No! Again!
Right?
Runs
They're
out
like-
again.
But then what do you do once you scream and realize you have to go but they're like, now I can't go run and tell somebody.
No! I've killed 20 kids.
Oops.
I don't think there's any hiding that. Right?
We're just gonna close the door.
He's gonna close the door.
Oh my
And,
goodness. Yeah, you just get in your car and you leave. You run away. You never come back.
At that point, you just pull out the maps and find out how close is the Mexican border.
There you go. Exactly,
my
right?
goodness.
And I mean, make a
Quick
try for
reset.
it. Exactly.
I do not
The way to
know.
go, brother.
I
That
don't,
was a great.
I don't know.
Because all it takes is 1 minute for you to leave the classroom for them to go, wait a second, I'm a teenager. I should be making a bad decision
Exactly.
right now.
Turn on the gas. Turn on the gas and lay out.
Yeah, that's
It's brilliant.
Wow.
It is. It's really
brilliant.
good. You can share that with your
I will share it as a reason why not to leave
Yes.
your
Why not?
classroom.
Yes.
Because let's be honest. Like high schoolers, yes. Elementary school kids, I just don't have any idea what's going to come out of those kids.
No.
And I don't think they're going to lay on the ground dead. One, because they can't stay still that long, right?
I mean,
No.
there's no impulse control.
There's
of that.
no-
And
right.
That's not their fault.
No,
Right.
that's
Right.
normal.
Right, but they just see something and go, I can climb that.
Yes.
That's literally start to finish the entire thought.
And a lot of teachers are like, they get upset with these kids. They're
Right.
like, why did you do that?
Yeah.
What were you think? Why did? And
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing, right?
Yes, I
I
thought that-
forgot gravity was a thing. I love when... yeah, that's the kind of kid I was.
Is that a
Well,
kind of kid?
I was a climber.
Yes.
My first year teaching, I didn't know, like, I forgot what teenagers were like. So I said, we should have, like, office supplies nearby where they should be. So I literally had, where kids could easily get it, a box of rubber bands.
Oh man. Oh
Yes.
Man. Yep.
And, like, you're not thinking, like,
right,
oh, a box of rubber bands.
Oh, they might need this.
Exactly.
Yeah, I might need them. You know what I mean? So I've got a box of rubber bands. I went and got, like, paper clips, rubber bands.
This is why there are closets with locks on them.
Index card. You're like, oh, you
So
know?
we can lock
It's
away.
so cool.
But I
all
need
of
to-
this.
You know, like, I want to have, like, teaching, and, like, there's, like, 15 kids that are shooting rubber bands at each other. I'm like,
of course.
what in the world? Where did they get the rubber bands?
Because here's the thing.
I did that.
What are rubber bands really used for?
Right.
Why do we need them?
Right.
I got staples.
Right.
You got paper clips. What do you like? Rubber band the papers together? I don't know. I don't really know why. What have you used rubber bands for?
When you roll up your poster.
True.
As you so often do it, man.
Exactly.
For all the dioramas. within
Yes.
that.
Roll up your poster.
Yeah,
Roll up your
that's like,
poster.
I laid
I
out
don't know.
a box of paper clips for 1 week, and then I went to go get a paper clip from it, and that's a long
Yeah.
chain just pulls out.
Yes.
I'm like, all right,
Yes.
lesson for me.
This is
Yeah.
unprofessional development right here.
Yes.
No rubber bands in your classroom. Okay.
At least
the
not
paper
out in
clips.
public.
not in public. Not near Publix. Sorry.
Yes.
That's what I heard. Publix.
Yes. Collect all
Yes.
scissors whenever they're done doing
Collect
stuff.
all scissors.
All scissors.
All right.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And if you put paper clips out, you're gonna come out with a long row
Right.
of paper clips. Just FYI.
I had a kid, actually, it was the last day of school.
It's the best
I
time
stepped
to do
out to
things.
just get a drink of water.
Oh.
He stepped out, people.
I did.
And they all laid down.
While I was gone, apparently a kid had lit hand sanitizer on fire on the desk.
No.
Yes.
Say what?
Yeah, it's 99% alcohol.
Right. Exactly. Oh,
I'm sure he had that lighter because he's a Boy Scout.
of course. He probably had a flint. He probably had flint.
Always be prepared.
Always be prepared to
never
light
know.
hand sanitizer
on
on your.
fire on a desk.
Yes, on a desk.
Everybody forgets that part of the
Okay.
scout motto.
So-
Yes.
So speaking of this kind of like
Does it segue?
it does. It segues.
Okay.
Yes.
Transitions are hard. So anyway,
How do you get your teachers
Yeah.
to understand what it's really like to be in a classroom versus I'm sure there's a lot of them that are like, oh, I like kids.
Yes.
I was good with kids on a thing here.
Right.
I'll go in a classroom and
I can't wait to be the center of academia.
right.
Where do we put all then?
I'm going to change young lives
These
every
sweet
day.
British children that get me every day.
This
That's what I say.
generation, they need someone
Right.
to tell them blah blah blah.
Right.
Man.
I have such empathy and care for kids.
Yes.
The things that other teachers are doing.
Could you please explain that again? It was so wonderful the first time.
Yes.
Well, the first thing I do is I teach them how to speak in a British accent. I feel like that's important.
Right.
Right? I mean,
It
I
is.
once took a class.
Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Leviosa, right?
Yes.
Exactly. I once took a history class in college, and I hated it, but the guy was from, I don't know, somewhere over there, and I just listened to him talk, and I was like, I have no, like, I don't want to be here, but I'm coming. That was it.
Sadly, in America, there's some accents that honestly will give you respect, and others that will get you,
Very true.
like
Very
tuned out
true.
pretty quickly.
It is true. This is why I've covered my southern right up as hard as I can.
Right.
I've cut out the Long Island.
Here you
The
go.
Long
Long
Island.
Island.
The Long Island.
Got some coffee. You know.
I know. That's
Yeah,
funny.
just me and the dog.
Because the kids tell me that
Cool.
people from New York don't talk like that. I'm like, we're going to be talking about cycles on Thursday. I'm like, I'm from New York. They don't say that.
They
I'm
don't
like,
say that.
You go to the right place in New York and they'll say it. I'm telling you they will. No. I'm like, yes, someone in New York is saying, I'm going to get a cycle on Thursday.
What's wrong with the way I talk?
Yes. Yes.
See?
Went to college with one.
See?
From
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Trampolinguistics. I'm just saying.
Right.
Trampolinguistics. I'm
Trampolinguistics.
bringing it back to,
You're
to
welcome.
that.
So,
Yeah.
nice. The
So
question is, how do you get And we talked about them doing student teaching and all that.
We did.
But how do you have
we
that
did.
conversation with them to not smash this, like, ideal and, like, completely make them, like, jaded, hate kids and hate teaching, because that's not good.
Right.
But we don't want them going in
Too bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
right,
too naive.
thinking this. And so how does that work, and what is that you do?
Yeah, I think initially in my class, or throughout my class, I start with this idea of transparency. And I share a not so great story from my PhD program of when a professor, and I didn't do really well in his class, and he thought, this is what you shouldn't be doing, right? Like, and so it really broke me for like a week.
Right.
So I share this story with them, right, to kind of start off this kind of, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay for us to be honest and transparent, and we're going to push in that space, right? This entire semester as much as possible. And in that space, so once I've created that safe space, now we can start to talk about like some of these real issues of the problems that they're going to face within their classes.
Right.
But we also, I partner that with this idea of if you build relationships with students, that's about 80% of classroom management, right? It's about 80%. If they know you care, right? This doesn't mean they're going to be perfect for you, but the majority of the time, they're going to know you're not going out to get them.
Right. And they're going to give you the best that they can do.
Exactly.
Even though their best behavior sometimes is still pretty bad.
Rough, right?
And they're going to accept the consequences.
They really will.
Like it's really great for a kid to go like, yeah, I messed up.
Yes.
Right.
Like when they start to own it, that's how you get them to mature.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And then there's also this piece of, I think we do talk about, especially after post clinicals, we debrief that piece, right? And so we talk about like, how was it? Right, like what didn't you like, and
what was scary to you?
Yeah, what did you do really well, right? And what questions do you have? And then I also asked the question: did this change how you feel about teaching? Like, does anybody here? Do y'all still want to be teachers?
Right.
Right.
And it's okay if you don't.
And it's okay if you don't. Right.
Right.
Like,
better now than after you've like spent the next 2 years.
Right. Like.
And now you're like wondering, what can I do, because I have a teaching degree, and I've been a teacher for 2 years, and I don't know how to get out.
Thank you.
In the program I did, actually, we didn't do, we did tutoring.
Okay.
And we did observations, but we didn't actually teach until our senior year, last semester.
Right.
Our senior year.
Me as well.
Yeah. And that's awful.
Right.
Yeah.
I
went in a few times like before that to just like watch for like
personal
class.
Yes.
You know, but then after that, one of my classes, I had to make a bulletin board for a teacher in a classroom.
That was the assignment.
That was the assignment.
I love it.
Make a bulletin board. I'm
like,
okay. I'm like, so you email this teacher. I'm like, hey, I want to make a bulletin board for you. I'm like, sure, why not?
Why not?
Something I don't have to do.
There you go.
Yeah, what do you want it to be? Like a quadratic formula, something, projectile, like that. That'll work. I'm like, okay.
It's an interesting assignment.
Yeah.
Yes. Like create their grade book for them, please. I just need you to set it up. I need you to set it up for them. I guess there's purpose in that. There's purpose.
Yeah.
There's purpose.
There's value. There's
There
some value
is some value
in learning. Well, here's what I learned.
What'd you learn?
So, I learned I need to listen better to what the teacher said. So the teacher said, well, you can go to the library, and they have this person that will help you.
A resource.
And so, I thought, like, it was like placing a to-go order. I need, like...
Let me get a bulletin board, 2 burgers, and a shake.
Yeah. Can you please...
Some water.
Can you please cut out... Can you please cut out all the letters
and
to
coffee.
And coffee.
Can you please cut out all the letters to the words
It's some
quadratic
butcher paper.
formula? And can you cut out, like, negative b plus or minus? Can you cut out a square root sign for me? And I want that in, like, these in blue and these in yellow.
And what look did you get? What look
like,
did
And which
you
finger did they show you?
Right, exactly.
I'm guessing it wasn't the thumb.
No.
They used the pointer finger and they said, over there, dude. Like, there's the tools that we have.
Yes.
And there's the stuff where you can do it. But
Roll up the sleeves.
Roll up the
Yeah,
sleeves and
like,
put a rubber
do
band
that.
on them. That's the reason for a rubber band. I'm sorry, I'm still searching.
When the teacher told me you can go to the library and they'll, like, help you out there, I'm like, ooh, oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When I was student teaching...
They don't really help you out.
No. She pointed you in the right direction.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, they got their
I
own
was-
stuff
I was
to
in
do.
the right
I don't blame
room.
them. Yeah.
They do.
When I was student teaching, I stopped off at the library in order to like put together a spreadsheet because I didn't have a work laptop or anything like that, and so I wanted to make something for my next class. When I went in, the librarian stopped me and asked me to sign in. I went, okay. So I go in and I sign in. She goes, "Which classroom are you coming from?" I was like, "Mine." And she gives me this look. Yeah, I did not realize that she thought I was a really rude son. I'm just giving her attitude.
Exactly.
And walk around and I'm like, no. I'm sorry. I'm not a jerk. Well, I mean, I'm not that kind of jerk.
Right. And she felt bad when she...
No.
didn't care.
She was salty the rest of the year.
The
rest of the year.
Well, I wouldn't know I avoided the library.
Yes. Nice.
From that moment on.
That's it.
From that moment on. No
Ruined.
resource. Yeah, I feel like we've all had stories like that, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I got chased down once.
Yeah?
Yeah, by an administrator at a school I was student teaching at.
Nice.
Because she thought I was a student. I went through the faculty door. And this person, like, literally, and I'm a fast walker, okay?
Right.
I get it from my mom. She's a New Yorker, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm a fast walker. So I'm like, I'm about to sign out. And so, like, apparently she's been running after me since the library.
Nice.
Get to the sign-out desk. And she's
Getting
out of
better
breath.
every step.
Exactly. She thinks the student is walking away from her quickly.
Right.
And so she finally gets to the desk and she's like, she's out of breath. She's like, why are you not listening to me? And I'm like, what? And she's like, you went out the wrong door. And I'm like, where's your student ID? I said, I'm a USC student, right? University of Southern California.
Yes. Trojans!
Trojans! And so I'm like, she's like, oh man. She's like, well, and she was not apologetic either.
No.
Like, they're not apologetic.
No.
But here's also what I learned from
That's
that.
funny.
What I also learned from that is, how would a student have responded to that? You went out the wrong door. Is that like a unforgivable? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
So
It's
what
like,
battles
it's
are we
a door,
fighting?
you big
Right.
Right?
stupid face.
Exactly. It's just a door.
I went in it and I went out it because it was
Yes.
in between the places I wanted to be.
Right, in the place I was. Right, and
Right.
so we talk about also this kind of battle as teachers. Like, what battle are you trying to fight every single thing in your classroom that
Right.
that your students are doing, because you are going to drive yourself crazy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to know what battles to pick.
You
Right.
gotta pick it.
A few seconds ago. Let's move this podcast forward by telling all of our friends, posting it on social media. Like, if you really want to, get a Sharpie and write unprofessional development in the stall.
Hashtag
unprofessional
Yes,
development
there you
in the stall at work. I don't know. Wherever you can do it. Send us a picture of your unprofessional development tattoo that we can
yes.
post on our yet-to-be-developed website.
Logo.
All those things, obviously,
We're working on the most social of media.
yes, give us 5 stars. When you give us
Give us 6 stars.
give us 6 stars. Yes.
We could use an extra.
5.
There you go.
Yes,
Give us
yes.
5 stars, then go back in and just
Extra
give us an
credit.
extra 1.
I don't think
We want extra
I'm
credit.
90% certain
Not
that's how
that
that
works. That works.
If we get 5 stars, then we move up the podcast. I saw the other day there are 70,000 podcasts out there.
Oh, man.
And so we want to at
Is
least
that all? We need more competition.
we want to be in at least the top 50,000.
There we go.
So
There we go.
to climb
Right?
out of them, we need to get some 5 stars.
There's one podcast out there. It's
And
called
it's called
Unprofessional Development.
When you're done, what you need to do is create a new login and then give us 5 stars on that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? All right, go crazy. All right? If you get us, like, how high Billboard charts would we have to get before we book a stadium and do a live show?
I'd say we'd have to, in Billboard terms, hit Come On Eileen. That's
Okay.
probably
Okay. All right.
Dixie's Midnight Runners
Runners.
level of success.
Okay.
I think
Cool.
that's the dream.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Then we can
The
have
hope.
an unprofessional benefit concert.
I think then it's straight to Madison Square Garden.
Okay. MSG, baby.
Yeah.
It's not just
We'll get Billy Joel as
ingredient
the
in your
opener. We'll
Chinese
buy,
food.
That's right.
we'll buy him some coffee.
coffee.
Well, the cycle. In Madison Square Garden on Thursday.
I see a Netflix show
Yeah, we
coming.
should have-
That's
I
right.
see
we
I
could
see a
have a
Netflix for you
Netflix.
guys in the future.
Absolutely.
That's
Yes.
awesome.
And since it's on Netflix, we can definitely get Obama on here.
Nice.
Oh, for
He's
sure.
on all Netflix specials.
If
Really
Jerry
is.
Seinfeld can get him.
Thank you.
Yes.
Then you guys can get
Yeah.
it.
Isn't he part owner of Netflix or something? I
Who?
think? Obama. He's got like a Netflix.
He's got a show. I don't think he's a
No.
producer. Are you telling me Obama gave us Stranger Things? Because that's a wonderful sentence.
That is
So,
a wonderful.
I don't
yes.
know. I don't know.
You don't know.
I don't. Google that.
Google that.
So.
And you guys can cut. You guys will cut, edit.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Jump
And
around.
then later, you and Lindy are gonna sing the theme song. Okay.
What?
So this is the current version.
Yes,
So
what's the current
eventually Tedisco's gonna edit all this out, but Okay, but possibly.
And burn it.
Right, exactly, and burn.
Possibly. Okay, this is like, it's okay to be unprofessional. This is your teacher confessional. These are real teachers. The stories are real. You're gonna laugh with Tedisco and Neil.
E.
They say theme music shouldn't be too long, so this is the end of our unprofessional song.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
I got you.
So,
All right.
I
Nice.
need to bring in my ukulele. For
yes.
this one.